Hello Stitchy friends! Welcome back to the crafty magic of Macy. I'm Macy and I'm so excited to see you here today for my 4th Flosstube episode. If you're new here, please take a moment to like and subscribe this video. I'd really appreciate it because I'd love to make more Stitchy friends. But if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm so happy to see you guys again. Since my last Flosstube video, I've been able to stitch on 4 projects. Some of them were a bit of a surprise to me, and I'm so excited to share these with you today. I know it's not a lot of progress or a lot of whips that I worked on, but I am so excited to show you guys the progress that I made in May. I wanted to film this a little bit earlier before the end of May because I have a lot of trips coming up, a lot of plans, and so because of that I figured I'd film this Flosstube episode, that way I could get this out to you guys before the end of May. But especially in June, I'm so excited to work on some new projects, which I'll tell you all about in plans towards the end of this video, and I'm so excited just to hear from you guys in the comments down below as well. So before you guys leave this video, please send me a comment, and then if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into my episode. So I'm going to start off with my finishes, and my first finish of the month was actually one that I was hoping to finish because it probably is my smallest whip. You might notice that my 2 finishes today are a little bit on the smaller side, but that's perfectly fine. I'm happy with that nonetheless. They are beautiful finishes in my opinion, so I'm super excited to have these complete. So the first finish I have to show you is one that I did work on in my last Flosstube episode, so hopefully you saw that then. But this one I'm super excited to have as a finish, and this is part of the X Stitch the Rainbow collab from last year, from 2025. And this is one that I told myself if I finished it, I get to start the new X Stitch the Rainbow patterns, which I bought quite a lot of because I love the theme of Beneath the Waves. But before I could stitch on those, like I said, I had to make a deal that I had to stitch the previous one. But that first finish is actually going to be Night Owl by Stitchy Prose. This is where I was the last video, and as you can see, I've made a lot of progress as I finished it up. And here's what it looks like a little bit closer. This piece was started in March of this year, and I finished it on May 21st, which is super exciting. I stitched this 2/2 on this light mint Lugana, that's 32 count, with all of the called for flosses, which for this X Stitch the Rainbow collab were Threadworks. And I have to say, this being like my first time using Threadworks flosses, I could not be happier. These colors are just perfect, they're stunning. And I didn't plan to stitch any others from this Night Garden collaboration, but now that I've done this, I kind of want to do the blue flower freebie of the irises. I just think that would be absolutely gorgeous. So I have a feeling I might start that one sooner rather than later as well, maybe even on the same fabric. But I'm super excited to have this little finish here. Super pleased with the way it looks. I'm glad that the fabric is kind of showing a little bit truer to color than it has in the past, because this is a 32 count light mint Lugana. I got this as like a little small little piece of fabric, so I'm not entirely sure what brand made it, but I think it's a Zweigart. I'm very happy with the way it looks, and I'm happy to have another finish. The second finish that I have is actually a start and finish. This is a piece that really took me by surprise, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to get the pattern and I had to stitch it for my mom. So as soon as Primrose Cottage released Scissor Fob Frenzy May, I knew I had to purchase it. And what that is this gorgeous little frog here. I'll show you a picture of what the called for looks like. And as you may see, mine looks a lot different because I actually chose to personalize this to basically cater to all of my mom's favorite colors. So if you're interested in my color conversion, please let me know. But my mom really loves pinks and purples, so I really tried to choose colors that she likes a little bit more. And that's how I got to this finished version. Sorry if it's a little bit hard to see. This linen is definitely lets a lot of light through. It's a lot more holy than other fabrics that I've worked with. But I love that pink color. As far as my conversion goes, it uses a mix of DMCs, Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts, and honestly I just pulled random things from Stash that I thought my mom would like, but none of this is the called for, but I think my mom really liked the choices that I made here. This was actually stitched on the linen I got for free from the freebie table at the Steel City Stitchers Retreat, which if you watched my last Flosstube episode, you may have seen this in my haul section. This is actually a 30 count R&R linen in the colorway For the Cure Pink. And they had this beautiful fabric on the freebie table. I knew I had to have it. However, I do wish it was a little less like see-through, because I do know that that's going to be a little bit more of a hassle to have to fix when I'm framing this or making this fully finished, but I am still happy with the way it looks. I know I can work around that. If you do have any tips for finishing things on linen that's a little bit like more see-through like this one, definitely leave that down below. I would love to know your tips and tricks, but I am super excited with how this turned out. So there it is again. This I actually finished in just 2 days of stitching. It definitely was a lot of stitching those days, but I did fly through this, quite honestly. It was a fun stitch. It was an easy stitch. Honestly, the toughest part was probably me color converting everything, and then also trying to make sure that the fancy floss and the variegation kind of fell where I wanted it. But besides that, honestly, this was a fun piece, and I'm excited to stitch more Primrose Cottage, because honestly, I'm finding that their pieces just stitch up super quickly. They're super fun, super simple, but super beautiful as well. So could not be happier with this finish as well. And this has already been gifted to my mom. We're gonna fully finish it together, and I think she's really happy to have this. So those are my 2 finishes. I know not very big projects, but I'm happy with them nonetheless. Couldn't be happier to have some finished things. Besides those 2 though, I only worked on 2 other pieces. One is a new start, and then the other one is one you've seen many times before, and you're gonna see it many times again. But let me go ahead and show you what else I worked on in the month of May. So the very next thing that I started working on, I actually house in this beautiful blue project bag from the Crafty You that I got. Definitely could not be more perfect for the project I'm about to show you, which is very blue themed. And that project is actually Delft House by Hello from Liz Matthews. I'm gonna pop up a picture now of what it's going to look like when it's finished, because I can guarantee my small start is not gonna show you any of those motifs. So brace yourselves for the small start you're about to see. But that's what it's going to look like. As soon as I saw this on her Patreon, I knew I had to stitch it immediately. And I know a couple other people who I follow on Instagram are also really interested in starting it. So this piece I actually am buddy stitching with Kate, and she has the Instagram at CraftyKate616. I will link her down below so you can follow her, but she's stitching on so many beautiful pieces. I absolutely love seeing all of her progress, and she's definitely helping to encourage me to work more on this piece, because every time I see her make progress, I feel like I have to make more progress myself. So it really pushes me just to make a lot more progress on this bigger pattern here. So this piece I am super excited to be stitching with Kate, and here is my start. Not a huge start, like I said, but it's still a nice start nonetheless. I will say with this pattern, we have a lot of firsts going on for me. This is actually my first time stitching on 40 count linen. Don't know why I decided to do that for this pattern, but here we are. And then this is also my first time stitching with NPI silks, which I have to say I am super pleased with that so far. I have my little floss drops here, and I am super happy with the way they look, the way they feel too. I have to say these are probably the softest silks I've ever worked with, and I've tried a couple different brands, but they're super pretty, super gorgeous. I feel like on the pattern itself, when you start stitching it, it's harder to see the different colors come to light, but then when you actually see them on the floss drops, they definitely do have different color shades and variants there. But really happy with these. Super soft, super easy to work with. I just could feel these all day, honestly, because they're so, so soft. But I'm loving working with NPI silks. And this time I'm also working with one thread, which this is my only project, I think, so far in my stitching career that I've done one thread over 2 stitches, so super happy about that. I now see why people only like to stitch with 1 thread. It is a lot easier, less of a hassle trying to thread that needle and so on. So I'm super excited with the 1/2 stitching I'm doing over 40 count. This is just a Zweigart Verdal. I figured I'd try it. Again, not sure why I chose to make this the tiniest fabric that I will stitch on. But one thing I have found with Hello from Liz Matthews patterns is they are so much bigger than I always think they're going to be. So I figured if I do it on a smaller count fabric, hopefully it'll take up a little less room, but also it'll be a little bit daintier, which I think will be super nice with this. So I'm really happy with my choice to use 40 count, but I will say it's a little bit harder for me to work on, especially while I'm waiting for my new glasses to come in, because right now I don't see very well. So working on 40 count Verdal is just sometimes headache inducing. So that's why I haven't really gotten too much progress, but hopefully in June and July, I will definitely get a lot more love on this pattern because it's gorgeous. I love the way it's looking. And again, I can't disappoint my stitching buddy Kate, so I better get to work on this piece. And then the last piece that I worked on is one that probably is no surprise if you follow me on Instagram or if you just saw how enthusiastic I got when I showed this in my last Flosstube episode, but that is Master of the Macabre Edgar Allan Poe. Here's what it's gonna look like when it's all finished. And here is a picture of my progress as of last Flosstube episode. And then here I am today. So here is my Poe. I am loving the way he's looking. This is my Progress, as I said on my Instagram. I know that's a lame saying, but I kind of love it. I am super obsessed that I did the second eye. I know last video I was super excited to have one eye staring at me as I stitch. Now I'm even happier to have 2 eyes looking at me all the time. Super pleased with this. You might notice I abandoned kind of the fill-in with the hair. I don't think I even touched the hair this past month. And then the forehead here, this is actually all white, so I've skipped that for now too. My plan as of right now is I've just been going to do all the more detailed counting oriented stitches that are constantly switch colors back and forth. And the reason why I'm doing that is because since I'll be doing a lot of traveling in the upcoming weeks, I figured if I save all this fill-in, like the hair and his forehead, that's all one color, I could easily maybe do this in the car because I got some long car rides coming up, or just be able to do it more mindlessly while I'm on vacations, on trips, that kind of thing. So I figured this would be the perfect travel stitch. So I'm just really trying to get it ready so that I can just mindlessly fill in basically for the rest of this project. So if I have any more dedicated stitchy time to this in the next couple of weeks, I'll probably continue to do that, working my way down, maybe doing his nose and other facial features. And then as I travel, I'll fill in that forehead and the hair over there. But I'm loving the way he's turning out. I love having Poe stare at me while I stitch. This is a piece I honestly foresee me finishing this summer because I'm just obsessed with stitching on it. It is one of my few Ada projects too, so it just makes it a lot easier for me to stitch, especially again, while I can't see while I'm waiting for my new glasses to come in. So this I'm super excited to keep making progress on. And this is being stitched on 2/1 with the called for DMCs, but I did sub out the black, the 310, with a sulky black, just to make it a little bit more full coverage, just to really give that impact with his hair and features. And this is a 14 count Atomic Ranch Ada called Joy Lynn. And I love this color, could not be happier with my fabric choice. And again, I'm sure you guys will see this in the upcoming months. I'm sorry, that's not a ton of progress. That's only 4 pieces. Like I've told you guys in prior videos, I am a little bit more monogamous of a stitcher. So once I get hooked on a specific piece, I really just kind of no life it for a while. So that's been me with Poe, and then Night Owl, and then my other little finish. Honestly, those have really just taken up my time. And honestly, I feel like May has been one of the busiest months for me as the school year starts to end. And also just as summer starts to begin, I feel like I'm doing a lot more things outdoors, and I'm also dabbling in some other crafts as well. I've been doing some diamond art, which I will show you when I have some finishes there. And I've also been dabbling in my creative coloring, my journaling, those kind of things as well, which I'm hoping to do an extra video, not within my Flosstube, but just a extra video on my channel, kind of showing you all the crafts that I do seasonally. That way you can kind of get a taste for some other things I like to do and also see my progress in those other creative outlets, because maybe that will inspire you guys to try some other crafts as well. So next up, I actually don't have any haul. The only things I bought since my last Flosstube video were everything for Delft House by Hello from Liz Matthews. So you've already seen all that, the MPI silks, the Verdal, all of that. That's pretty much all I've actually bought. However, I do have some plans for June, and I also have a couple shout outs that I wanted to share with you guys as well. So first off, let me start with my shout outs. So these two amazing women actually shouted me out on their channels, and I wanted to publicly thank them for that. And I also wanted to share their channels with you because I've loved following their stitching and so much more. The first stitcher that I'd love to give a shout out to is Curly Q Stitches, Lauren. She has been amazing to talk to on Instagram and on her YouTube videos. She is super responsive, super nice, and I feel like we are soul sisters in our reading tastes. I have loved talking books with her over online, and it's just been so great getting to know her a little bit better. And I'm so thankful she shouted me out in her last video because she mentioned that I've been working on a Madame Chantilly, specifically a cargo of eggs. Didn't work on it this month, but if you watch my previous Flosstube video, you'll see it there. But that beautiful Madame Chantilly, she said, is inspiring her to maybe check out some of her other patterns, which is super cool. And honestly, I just love watching Lauren's videos because everything she works on, I feel like is something that I would want to work on because they're so colorful, so fun, and she just makes so many smart choices as far as fabrics go, floss conversions, all that kind of fun stuff. And I feel like she's enabling me to start so many more gorgeous pieces. I just feel so inspired watching her channel. So if you haven't checked her out yet, please do so. I will leave her link down below as well, but she's awesome. Definitely check out her channel, and thank you so much, Lauren, for mentioning me in your video. And then the second person that I really wanted to thank for giving me a shout out in their video as well is Lindsay of the Cheshire Stitcher, who I will leave their link down below as well. Lindsay is also an awesome floss tuber here. I feel like she was one of the first people to click on my first Flosstube episode, which I'm very thankful for. And she really just helped me start to get to know people on Flosstube, which is really helpful, really wonderful to experience. And I've just loved watching Lindsay's channel as well because she just stitches so fast and so many beautiful things. And I'm super excited to see what she's going to do because the reason why she mentioned me too is because she picked up One Stitch at a Time by Tiny Modernist, which you will see a couple episodes back in Flosstube episode number 2, where I actually finished it. And I am super excited to have inspired her to start that piece. It's a super quick stitch, super fun, super colorful, and easy to stitch, but just a fun piece altogether. So I'm so happy to have inspired her to check that out. And I know she's always inspiring me as well, especially in her most recent Flosstube episode. There's so many pieces that she's working on that have caught my eye, which right now I feel like I'm on a low-key no-buy just because I bought so much at the Steel City Stitchers retreat in that market that I kind of need cut off until I have some more finishes. But I feel like I'm already getting ideas from both of these lovely stitchers as well as so many more on Flosstube. It's just been such a joy being part of this community. Definitely in my next video, I plan to shout out some more people as well because I really want to get in the habit of doing that. Right now, I just feel a little bit overwhelmed by how many videos and stitchers that I've been following and that are in my watch later playlist, and I just cannot wait to watch more. And then as I watch them, I'll start compiling a list finally to be able to shout out even more lovely stitchers because honestly, I have to say this community has just really wowed me with how supportive you are of my channel, my Instagram, as well as everybody else's. And I just love seeing this community because I truly believe this is like the nicest place to be on the internet. And I just really am so happy to be a part of that. This is my May video, so the next time I see you will be June. And like I said, hopefully with the end of the school year coming up very, very soon, I'll have more stitching time, more time to get into my creative hobbies, which I cannot wait for. Super excited about that. But I do have a couple loose plans that I figured I would share with you to conclude today's video. And those plans are specifically to have maybe 2 new starts, maybe more. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a good chance I might start some more things, but there's 2 two things I have kitted up in the past week that I definitely plan to start in the month of June. And then I also loosely just plan to continue working on the Edgar Allan Poe Master of the Macabre by Witchy Stitcher. Love that pattern, absolutely gorgeous, so I'll definitely be stitching on that as well. Also, I'll be working on Delft House by Hello from Liz Matthews, because like I said, gotta keep up with Kate there as well. So those two patterns that you've seen in this video, hopefully you'll see again in June. But as far as some new starts go, I have two that I'm getting ready for. The first one is a kit, which is actually this kit. This is one of the first things that actually my mom bought me when I started cross stitching. I don't know what about this full coverage made her think, oh yes, let's give this to my daughter for her second cross stitch project. Didn't pick this up until now, so it's been a couple years of stitching, but she had to pick this up. It's called Afternoon Nap because it looks just like my cat Romeo. So he looks very similar to this as a tabby cat, and as soon as she saw this kit, she's like, Macy needs to stitch this, so she bought it for me. And I think now's the time. I've been craving a full coverage, so I think I'm gonna start this in June. Let me go ahead and show you closer up what this is gonna look like. I don't know how good the materials are because I think my mom just found this at Walmart, but the piece is too cute. I might upgrade the Ada a little bit if I notice that it feels a little too cheapy and things like that. I did figure out that the threads are DMCs, but I will say some of the colors definitely do not match my, not quite a master set of DMC, but the ones I do have. So I'm not entirely sure. I think they're supposed to be DMCs, but they weren't 100% matches in some cases. Could just be different dye lots, but that's something I am aware of as I work on this. And I actually spent the entirety of Father of the Bride, the one with Steve Martin in it, to actually put all of these threads onto my floss drops here. I have these little plastic ones that I just picked up online a bit ago. And it took me the entirety of the movie to be able to match these threads together and label them correctly using my DMCs, because I had heard in previous cross-stitch groups online that this piece is a bear to organize the flosses for, and they are right. All of these threads were just thrown together in the bag, and I really had to dissect them to figure out what colors were the same. So it took me quite a few hours to be able to do so, but now that they're on these floss drops, I'm super excited to start this. Should be a lot easier to actually start the project now that these flosses are all organized. So that is one start that I might regret starting, but that's something I do plan to do in the month of June. And then the other piece that I plan to start is one I bought 2 Steel City Stitchers ago. So not this past one, but the one before that. And this is a Counting Puddles pattern. I have really admired Counting Puddles patterns for so many years. They're gorgeous. They use some specialty stitches, which I just think is super fun. And at that Steel City Stitchers retreat, I did buy a couple Counting Puddles patterns, but I've been honestly a little afraid to do them because they are a little bit bigger. They seem like they're gonna take probably years, to be quite frank. But this one, since it's summer and I'm craving some summer stitching, I had to kit this up, which I do have the fabric for. I have the DMCs, which is great. So I am just ready to go on this one. This is Watermelon Crawl by Counting Puddles, and it's absolutely stunning. Look at those watermelon and those ants. I feel like this is just the perfect pattern for summer, so I'm super excited to maybe start this in June, make some progress on it. I don't foresee me finishing this summer, I'm gonna be completely honest, because it looks like a lot of stitching. But I am excited to make some progress. Honestly, if I want to set a loose goal for this summer, I'd be honestly happy if I do even just like one watermelon or just one part of this motif, because this is just gorgeous. I'm really excited to eventually have this on my wall, especially during the summertime. And I love all things fruit themed. That's why I got my little apple cat behind me too. Gotta love those fruits. So because of that, cannot wait to dive into this summer as well. So this should hopefully be a little bit shorter of a Flosstube episode than my longer one the last time. I'm sorry if longer videos are your jam. Hopefully this summer I will have a lot more Stitchy progress to share with you guys and to chat about. Super excited to spend this time with you guys, and I cannot wait to continue to get to know you awesome people in this community. If you want to leave me a note down below as to what you're currently stitching on or to what you're currently reading, I would love to know, especially as summer begins. I am reading a ton more too. I'm not planning on including book recommendations at the end of my Flosstubes, but if that's something you're interested in, that's definitely something I'm willing to change in the future. So if you guys are interested in book recommendations of what I'm reading, I'm happy to share some of my favorites from time to time. Let me know down below. But especially with the warmer weather, I am so excited to just get into those cozy crafts and just really be able to continue to film videos and share my love of stitching with you all. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you so much for checking out my channel and my Instagram page. I really appreciate all the love you've given me on my videos and on my posts, and I cannot wait to see you guys in June, if not before then. Thank you so much for all your support, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video soon. See you guys next time, and remember to stay crafty.